cars and watches, exact same thing. Our businesses are very similar.
The number one question that people ask me outside of how can I get into your business is what's a good investment on a watch, right? And I always tell people the same thing. I tell them watches are not an investment, they're an expensive toy, right? It's just not foolishly arguing with me. Well, look, this Rolex went up. I'm like, it doesn't mean anything. I try to explain to them that there are exceptions. Something like this, which is unobtainium, 1 of 6 in the world.
Yeah.
You can name your price. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, we just picked up a Patek 1518 Holy Grail long dial from the 40s. You know, $1 million plus watch. Again, something you can't replace. What a lot of people are missing out on in and out costs. And they're like, well, what do you mean in and out? This isn't real estate. I'm like, well, you're gonna buy it from me. I'm making a profit. That's your in cost. You're gonna sell it odds are either back to me or through me. There's your out costs. Markets can change and shift. However, talking to a car person, and I wanted to ask you the same question. If you look at the cars that are collectibles, that are 50 to 60 years old at this point, like a Mercedes Goldwing, that's a car that's $2.5 to $4.5 million, depending on how well it's done. Let's call it a $3.5 million car, depending on the market. That car is gonna raise over time, very, very slowly, based on inflation, let's say. But somebody told me, he's like, listen, if you look at anything in the car world that's, let's say, 30 years old, quote unquote neo vintage, the right kind of model, like old S classes or the S600, which was my dream car. He's like, if you get the right cars, the low production numbers and so on and so forth, you want to kind of catch that 20-year span ahead of time. Then, if you keep it maintained over that next 10 to 20 years, that's going to become that Goldwing kind of thing.
Yeah. I have someone driving in an SL 500 today. I'm buying it for 11 grand. Look at the condition. It's all about the condition, about how they took care of it. You know, it's like very similar. If I kept this car for like 6-7 years, it could be worth 50, you know? It's not always about the high dollar.
I always tell people, like, watch is an investment for me. This is what I do. I buy them right, I can sell them right, I have the ability to liquidate. The biggest issue these guys run into is like, well, then I want to liquidate.
They just lost 10 grand, or like next week I want to sell it back to you. The cars are entirely different. If you're buying an S-Class, who even cares? You're buying it to drive it. But if you're buying a watch, people just look at watches like investment pieces and stuff like that. Like, they don't want to change their mind. That's what it is. I mean, like, if you're buying something like this, that's not that expensive. These are all investment piece watches. This is never going to be an investment piece watch.
None of these, in my mind, are investments. I always say like this. If I came to you a lot and I picked a supercar and I drove that for 2 years and I got within 20% of what I paid for it, I would consider myself a winner.
Yeah.
I drive an S-Class. I don't buy them. I lease them because I know that if I'm going to buy it in 3 years' time, the money that I pay for the lease through the 3 years doesn't cover the losses.
Yeah.
So for me, like, why?
Exactly. What's your cost of ownership? That's basically what you're looking at.
That's exactly what I'm looking
the
at.
only car right now that people are like really chasing are like 911s and maybe a Huracan.